Where are we going? Welcome to this exclusive podcast produced by Spirit Watch Ministries that will show where life in our darkening times is now turning and how you can avoid the detours of deception through the hope of biblical truth. The Lord Jesus in Matthew 24 warned us over 2 millennia ago and how urgently we need to heed him now. Our host is Pastor Rafael Martinez, a seasoned Northwest Indiana-based minister, intercessor, and counter-cult apologist who will help you discern the journey of change we're all on as the last day of the last days now winds down. For more information, check out our Facebook page and our website at spiritwatch.org. Now, here's Pastor Rafael.
Hello. Thanks once more for stopping by and for downloading our program podcast entitled, Where Are We Going? I'm Rafael Martinez, a minister in the Church of God Cleveland movement, and I'm really so glad that you took the time to listen in and surf in. This podcast is one of the services of Spirit Watch Ministries, and that's an outreach of discernment in our deceptive world that has been ongoing since 1993. You can learn more about us at our website, spiritwatch.org, and keep up to date using our Facebook and YouTube links there on the page as well. And while you're at it, invite all your friends, as we say, and include your enemies, your neighbors, your third cousins, your kindergarten kids, teachers, and everyone all points in between. Invite them to listen too. Spread the word around, because we're always seeking new audience, and we'd appreciate your help today with that. Now, our podcast is devoted to providing biblical perspectives on the ongoing plunge of the world into the darkness of spiritual deception as foretold by Bible prophecy and the history of fallen humanity. Now, we've spent time this past season sharing great teaching tapes as well as biblical studies and reviews of current events focusing on cultism and spiritual deception. And as we said, we've always wanted to ensure that we have some guests on the podcast as well, and we believe that she has something to say to us about this daunting topic. And our first podcast guest we've ever had, and the one coming on today, via a recorded phone call we had last week with him, is a survivor of the Remnant Fellowship cult we've been contending with for the past 2 decades. Her name is Mina Munoz. Now, I met Mina shortly after her exit from the cultic movement in 2010, and we've been good friends ever since. I've appreciated her transparency, her passion, and her willingness to share freely with me about her perspective on life behind what's known as the Zion Curtain, namely the social circles of Remnant. This is a world of intrigue that's not readily seen. Some of her testimony will be featured in the upcoming remaining 2 episodes of the Way Down documentary that will be released for streaming on April 28th on the HBO Max service. In the next couple of months, we will be sharing a published testimony of hers on the Spirit Watch site, which has been a long project in process, simply because for her, it's been quite a difficult thing to speak about. The trauma and trial that a cult member experiences is like no other. And Mina's willingness to bear witness to what she's seen is an act of courage, and truly for her, a labor of love for the truth and her former remnant family. She has a message she's wanting to share with them at the close of our interview, so I hope and believe that a fair number of them will be listening in. Welcome to all of you. Please listen carefully to the voice of one of your sisters.
Mindy, thank you so much for joining us today here on the podcast. I really do appreciate your taking the time. I know you just got off work and you're pretty pooped, but I really do appreciate you sharing your time with us. That's indicative of a lot of regard, and I appreciate you calling in today to do that. So, thanks so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I now go by my given name, which is Mina Munoz, a.k.a. Mindy.
All right. Mina Munoz. Is that how you want to be identified, so to speak?
Well, Mina? It's my given name, and I just went back to using what was given.
Oh, okay. I was unaware of that. I learned something about you just right now. So Mina is your given name.
Yes.
Okay. I stand corrected. Mina, I will start calling you that from here on out. Thank you so much.
And a lot of people from the remnants from the past know me as Mindy, so that's why I just wanted to make that clear.
Sure. Okay. Absolutely. I'll change my stuff on my phone. Thank you so much again. I'll make sure everybody know that. So Mina, tell us a little bit about yourself, for the benefit of those who are not in Remnant and not aware of who you are, and to tell me a little bit about where you've come from and your life's journey before you got to Remnant.
before I got to Remnant? Well, basically, I'm a Latina from Los Angeles, California. And I come from Mexican parents. And I moved to Colorado in 92. And have 5 beautiful children, 7 grandchildren, and it's been a beautiful journey. I mean, it's been a very teachable experience.
Right. I can see that. Very, very moldable type of thing. I mean, it certainly has changed your life, I'm sure, considerably. So, how did you get involved with the Way Down workshop? Were you out still in LA when that took place?
No, it was in the 90s early 90s when I met neighbors, and I used to go to a Christian church, and they had Way Down classes, and we started taking those, and everything was good, and Gwen was amazing. She taught about, how to go to God for healing, and how to go to God to let go of greed, and, and how to lose weight God's way. Right. And everything was beautiful and everything was good until she spawned out her own church, which is now called the Remnant. And I think everything just went. I think she lost it. I think she got greedy and controlling and possessive and whatever else. And I don't think she went to God as much anymore. And I think she became, her own God. And she started controlling everybody, and she had a way of breaking people down and making them feel guilty and making them feel that they weren't going to go to heaven and they didn't do it this way or that way. And, she called, her church and Way Down, the kingdom, her kingdom. Mm-hmm. And everything was about the kingdom, and everybody had to look to her. So it was.
That really wasn't the way it was to start with, right? I mean, that sounded to me like you became a pretty dedicated person. So how did that come about?
So I ran the Spanish, and Gwen was the most amazing, beautiful human, and everybody wanted to be like her. Everybody wanted to eat like her and dress like her, and I think that's the highest form of flattery, She hated that. She hated people to copy her. But, she was such a beautiful person. And then when I moved there and when I started working at Way Down, everything changed. I mean, I walked into Way Down with so much love for God and just ready to, I thought everybody was pure. I thought everybody was holy, and it was nothing but that. It was all about money and control and correcting people and breaking them down and paying them the least. And, she had promised me to pay me what I made in Colorado, which at that time was $20 an hour, and she started me at 8. She told me that never to expect a raise, and I needed to humble myself.
Yeesh. Wow.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah, I believe you. I mean, but it wasn't like that. While you were still in the Way Down workshop in Colorado, while you were still there, it wasn't like that. It seemed like when we talked, it was really, really big for you. It was really wonderful.
I mean, there were red flags, but because I felt that I was still learning. I thought it was something I didn't understand, and I should just wait.
Oh, okay.
But there were red flags.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Sorry, is the dog too loud?
I can hear him. You sound like you're getting a second wind now. So. Yeah. But what were the red flags you saw while you were out there? I mean, the way you made it sound like the Remnant chapter out there was really tight. Everybody really was into it, and everybody had a good spirit about them. And then what would you saw that was a red flag?
Well, my kids and the families used to get together, and they would we would do barbecues and everything to come up with the money to go every year, for the Feast of Trumpets or the Day of Atonement, and once a year we would all gather,
Uh-huh.
So we used to raise so much money to have money for our airfare, to have money for our hotels, to go everywhere we needed to. And one of those summers, she found out that we were like cleaning houses and buildings and doing everything, and pie sales, and she corrected all of us and said that money should be going to tithe. So it exasperated us, and we had everything we made, we had to send it to them, because to her it was considered a tithe because the money was created for the remnant.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a crock of shit.
Okay. Gotcha. That's the translation from that is quite literal. So I understand. Yeah. So
I feel that I have the right to say that because that's exactly what it was.
Well, that was where it was. That's where you were. And that's exactly what unfortunately became. So but you had people you had good people though. Good people in Remnant that were trying hard to do the right thing.
Well, they weren't trying. They were doing it. They were there to find God. They were there to change, to have guidance, to have, we never had proper guidance or parents, and not all of us. I'm not saying that for everybody in this world, but not everybody came with the handbook. Not everybody knew God. Not everybody knew the God or how God was or how God is. And I think that the people were there because they wanted change. They wanted to be better humans. They wanted to be better parents. They wanted to lose weight. They didn't want to have strongholds. They wanted to be at a vibration where their children would be better and they would be better. Yeah.
Yeah. When did your family make that transition? I mean, when you moved, how did it affect your family?
Well, I lost my family. I mean, once you got in there, if they weren't a part of the remnant, then you weren't allowed to go to funerals. You weren't allowed to listen to music, secular music. You weren't allowed to listen to other Christian music. You weren't allowed to go to funerals. You weren't allowed to go to weddings. But you could tell everybody you love them and send them send them love, but that's it. That's not love. Love is family. Yeah. So,
How about, how did you transition? How did your children handle it? I mean, they moved from Colorado to Tennessee. That's a pretty big culture shock.
My kids were exasperated. They're still going through a lot of trauma. I actually have one daughter who is not doing well at all right now. She's 35 years old and she's not doing well at all. And she's still living in the past full of trauma. She's not healed, and it's very sad because some children can't even eat still in front of other people. Some people still control what they eat or how they eat, or they feel guilty because they eat. Yeah. And, I forgive myself because I didn't know. Right. So I am forgiven. My God is a God of love. And when I knew, I ran. Mm-hmm. And, yeah.
Well, once you got there, and once and what was it like to live? Everyone was told, Remnant Fellowship, it's the New Jerusalem, it's the gate to heaven, basically. So, what was it like to finally live there once you got there? How different was it?
Well, the things that were said were so different on how you felt. Okay. You were always walking on pins and needles. You were always, every day you would think that you would go to hell. You couldn't go on vacations. You couldn't sell things because everything, you would get corrected because you had to be close. And it was so confusing because she always went on vacations. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, she always did her, she picked her friends. She was very selective. She was very insulting. She was mean. She was just a very do as I say, not as I do person. Yeah, right. And she didn't give a shit what people think. It's what she was. Because she was obeying God.
So for all their talk about being a true and holy remnant, he weren't supposed to be like the so-called counterfeit churches and Christians. They didn't seem to really measure up to what they claimed to be then.
No, that's actually where I started drinking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's when I was 30. Yeah, I was 30 years old, and it was okay to drink because I had never drank because I came from an alcoholic background, drugs and alcohol. So because I thought I was free and because I thought it was okay and because they had real wine for the children and for the adults, it was okay because you just had to learn everything in moderation. And of course, I did everything in moderation. Right. And then I left, and then I just like, well, let's become an alcoholic.
Wow.
So I have to admit that I did do a couple years of a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
And I just said, you know what? I'm killing myself, and I need to wake up, and I need to heal, and that's what happened.
Yeah. And on top of that, I mean, if everybody was free enough to be able to drink, and because they were pure, what were requirements they were put on you to be pure? You know, I understand you really had to struggle with that.
Well, I had to work a lot. I was hardly with my children. I only got paid for the regular hours. I never got paid for working evenings. I never got paid for working Sundays or Saturdays. I never got paid for working evenings on Wednesdays because it was all donation to the church. She was a pill.
Oh.
So I was never with my kids, but then my kids were always getting corrected. So how the hell was I supposed to take care of them when I'm taking care of making money for the Remnant? Because I was the number one top seller there.
Yeah.
And they always wanted me there.
Yeah.
You know?
So you were quite a salesman for them among
I was the number one salesperson. Me and Jessica Walters.
Okay.
And Amy Stites, yeah.
What was it like to work with Gwen Shamblin as part of that way down culture in the office? What was it like?
Very stressful. You were always being watched. You were always being accused. You were always being judged. You were always being corrected. Yeah. And if you didn't have your numbers up, and you would always get, it was a shit show, Rafael.
So it was really about a business, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a business, yeah.
Yeah. So for all she talked about spirituality and being in true and honest relationships, ultimately the the product line was what the message was, right?
Yeah, but, everything, she would include God in her business because that's the way she made her money,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So God was, But, like I said at first, yeah, but once I got there, it was just like, really? So I think I was there like 2.5 years, and it was an experience, Rafael.
Yeah, that's certainly what it sounded like in our conversations.
So, I walked in with so much love, and I walked out deflated.
Yeah. What was some of the outlandish things you saw that really kind of opened your eyes to things there? What led you to view Remnant from a different perspective?
She was very promiscuous around men, and she loved drinking. She was usually drunk by, she always had her cocktail at meetings at noon. She started dressing really, she just loved the men around her. I mean, that's all I have to say. It is what it is.
Yeah, I understand.
She loved the attention of men.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
So what events kind of led you to start rethinking your involvement? What was the straw on your back? They said they were the most humble church, and then they were very merciful, and everything they said was the opposite of what they were. Yeah.
So because I was a person who asked questions, and I was a person to say, hey, I came here to serve God, not to serve man. So you're saying one thing and doing another. So when I didn't defend the church, they would get pissed. So how can I defend the church when this person's right?
Yeah.
I see this shit going on, and of course they would get mad at me all the time. I didn't care.
Yeah. How close did you actually get to her? If I understand you got pretty intimate with her at times in terms of just being a confidant or something.
I mean, we broke bread together. I was in her house a lot. She was very close. We became family. It's what it was,
Yeah.
But she was very jealous of me. She was very envious, and she didn't care who found out. One day she cried in front of everybody. I said, I can't believe how beautiful she is. She can go start her own church. And ever since that jealousy came in, she hated the attention I got. She hated the sales that I got. Like if I did an interview, she would correct me in front of the whole congregation on how dare I not focus on her. How dare I make it about me? Yeah. 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 She was a bitch.
Yeah. Well, attention. I mean, it sounds to me like, like I said, I mean, from what I know
we've known each other a while, Mindy. You're just you are a very nurturing, loving, classical Latina. I mean, you're someone that cares about people. That's what we do, but
I learned, my life taught me love. My life taught me compassion. My life taught me how to love a person where they're at and not judge them,
Yeah. And a lot of people in Remnant saw that and started coming to you for questions, right?
Yes. And they would call me and they would come and cry with me and all that good stuff. And they didn't like that either, because I had to turn that in. I had to turn in that counsel.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm fuck that, and, what else? She would hate it when I would point people to God because she said, you need to point the people to me. I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
She actually said that. Oh, she did.
Wow.
Jeez. So it was, my kids, I forgive myself, but I'm so glad she's not on this earth no more fucking with other children because she messed my kids up. Yeah. And I had a lot to do with that, but I was just thinking I was obeying God. I really, really thought I was obeying God. If I would have known any different, I would have done anything I could to get out of there from that fucking hellhole. Yeah.
Right. Well, you didn't know better. Yeah. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people who have been involved in situations such as you, and they rake themselves over the coals. And I often tell them, as I told you, hey,
we didn't know.
You didn't know. Yeah. You didn't know that people you trusted were going to lie to you. You didn't know that. Yeah. That's terrible.
Because you come from so much trauma and you feel somebody's love, and then finally I could exhale. There's somebody that could love me and help me and guide me with my family and with my husband and with my, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't the case. It was always correcting. There was no building up. There was always just putting down. I was so exasperated as I exasperated my own children,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So what was I understand you saw a lot that was making you rethink your involvement, but what was there a crisis moment, or did you just walk away, or was there something that happened that really made you say, hey, I gotta get out of here? What was it like?
The day I left, the day I decided not to be there anymore is that, so all of the leaders would always, if it was church time, everybody would have a special fridge in the back. And they would have their drinks and they would have their cocktails during church. So that was normal for me because it was okay. So when I came to Colorado, we were doing a Wednesday evening and I served myself a glass of wine and I went downstairs and I sat in the back, and I got called from leadership to, how dare I? And I'm like, what do you mean, how dare I? This is normal. But how dare you give that example? I shouldn't be drinking. And they didn't even bother, I'm like, excuse me? So that was the first, okay. And then the next time it was, I was supposed to counsel, I can't remember her name right now.
That's okay.
And everything she told me was true. So, and everything she told me had happened to her. So when I called Ted and Jay and told them I can't defend the remnant when she's not lying. Everything she's saying is true, and the shit's happened to you and it's happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, they were so pissed because I did not defend the kingdom of God. I said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm done. He said, that's not the kingdom of God. That's the kingdom of Gwen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the point you decided to look another way. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So how much longer was it before you finally just physically up and left there?
No, that's the day I left.
Oh, you did leave?
Yeah, that's
From
the
that
day I
point
said
on.
I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah, so I called Terry and I said, you know what, for now, I don't want phone calls. I said, for now, can you just please, I love everybody, but I just need a minute and tell everybody that I'll call them because everybody looked to me. So then the next day I'm off of everything and then I told Terry and Terry calls me. And I said, why did they block me? And she said, well, you did say you didn't want nothing to do with nobody. That's not what I said.
Right.
So they blocked me from everybody.
Okay, so that's you meant when you were off of everything. What does that mean? You mean social media accounts? And
no, so basically I had the admin. I had Citrix. I could from Colorado, I can send people. I can sell from Colorado, like working from home.
Right.
So I had admin. I was connected to all of the members. So they blocked me immediately. And Terry, my cousin Teresa Reyes, lied. So they made her lie so the people wouldn't, because they looked to me so much, they were afraid that people were going to listen to me and run. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So they blocked me from everybody. I mean, they did.
What was that like?
Yeah.
I bet that didn't feel good.
I lost my family.
Yeah.
It was my family.
They were all your family.
Yeah, everybody. I loved every one of them with all of my heart.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
That's right. I'm so sorry that happened. So how?
You know what? At the end, when it's only you and God, you figure out that that's all you need. And He was my comforter, and I went to God, and I went to Jesus Christ, and I asked the angels to help me to come out of it. And then I learned, and then I grew, and then I grew, and it's been years now, but it's beautiful.
Right. Well, I'm so sorry that you got chewed up that way, but I am glad that you helped, and that that you saw the light, and that you helped people see the light. And we're looking forward to hearing more what you have to say in the HBO Max documentary is coming out. I mean, is there anything that you may have brought up there that you maybe would like to add on to or discuss further here before you take a personal message from? Because, like I said, there's a lot I've always wanted to go back and say, I wish I could have gotten there, but.
I know. I could have kicked myself, but you know what? Right now, hearing what everything's going on with the members and the children, and, all of the parents whose children are on drugs, who have committed suicide, who have been shunned. What I have to say is this. I'm 50, going to be 52 years old. I've lived many, many days of sorrow, sadness, pain. And what I want to tell them, all the people who have left, all the people who are basically left behind, is this. That we were created to love, and we were created to learn. And everything that has happened is not in vain. The years that they were there are not wasted, because it taught us how to read the Bible. It taught us how to dissect the Bible. It taught us, if anything, how to find God, how to get on our knees when everything was so confusing. So I just tell the people that were shunned that they're here now, and they need to thank God for all of the learning experiences. And now that they have learned, and now that they know what mind control is about, they need to forgive themselves, because they don't know. They didn't know any better. And they need to forgive themselves for being so hard on their children. They need to forgive themselves for starving themselves. They need to forgive themselves for trying to become a Stepford wife. They need to forgive themselves for trying to fix the outside as opposed to the inside. And thank God for the experience and the learning. It was like they went to this amazing college, and now that they learned what not to do, now they need to come out of that and know that they're not a victim, so that they can move forward in life and help others. Because if they stay in the victim mentality, they will never be able to be free. Gwen will win. Gwen Shamlin will win if they stay stuck in their victim mentality.
Right.
So they need to forgive. They need to seriously if church is where they need to go, or community is where they need to go, somewhere. Don't forget about church. Don't forget about being spiritual. Don't forget about God. Jesus Christ, nor the divine, did that to them. They were just, puppets that were mind controlled. So now that they know, they need to be the warriors that they were called to be, to go out and pull those children and those people and those mothers that are being beaten, and the husbands that are being beaten, and pull them out of the fire, just like they're done, they're out.
Yeah.
And now that church is being totally dismembered. So basically, and I'm saying that in every word that dismembered means, it's time. Like, it's time for them to speak. It's time for them to have peace and know that everything was about living the experience, and now they can be free. They don't have to live in survival mode no more. They don't have to starve themselves. They don't have to count their bites. They could be free, because God is a God of love and a God of forgiveness.
Right. And it's time for them to learn. It's time to relearn.
They've already learned. Right now, what they need to do is basically have that quiet time with God. And yes, they need to reprogram their mind, but they need to reprogram their mind directly with the divine, not with what man is telling them. They need to go to God in prayer and just say, "I love you, God," and they don't even have to feel guilty for it, because they were believing that they were doing what was right.
Right, and that's what I'm meaning. I'm not saying, like, I totally agree with you that nothing's wasted. That there's a lot that was good. That they've received, but there are also some pretty awful things that everybody was conditioned with, and you mentioned one of them, mind control. That's what we've been spending the past 3 weeks on our podcast. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it or not, but we've talked a lot about how that messes people up, and in that mind control process, people get taught differently things that emotionally and psychologically hook them and spiritually affect them. So those things are really things they need to kind of really work on.
And I don't know if you've ever read the book by Napoleon Hill. It's called Outwitting the Devil. So in that book, I don't know if you ever come across it. It talks about how Satan, or whoever you want to call it, the darkness, demons, however people call them, it's about how he, or whatever Satan is, gets in your mind. And that's who she was. If Satan can get into your mind and control you, you can be depressed, you can be, and that's what she wanted. And that is the heart of evil.
Right.
And that book explains it so well.
Right.
And that's what happens to our children. They start grooming them since they start going to school. How to control them, how to make them robots, how to make them modern day slaves, because that's what she had. That's what she wanted. She had a modern day plantation. She was a modern day slave owner.
That's it.
It's the truth.
I can't agree with you more. Amen, sister.
If you want to lay it out, she had a plantation and she was modern day slavery. That's who the bitch was.
Yeah. I can't agree with you more on that one, because that's exactly what it became. And sadly, the way I see the church going right now is, they're demanding everybody to stay down below in the engine room, shoveling all the coal into the boilers as fast as they can. And nobody's at top steering. No, there's no direction. They're just everybody's going to church and listening to a recording of Gwen over and over again. I'm sorry about Elizabeth.
And I told you that when I left. What's going to happen, guys, when she dies? You guys are going to be so shell-shocked. Mm-hmm. And I do want to apologize, because I don't know if this is a Christian podcast, to all the people, because I am cursing. But I have to be me. I can't be nobody else.
I'm not asking you to. That's all I want. That's all it's expected. It's your story. It's where you are. Yes, yes, I'm a minister, and yes, this is a Christian podcast in the sense that we use scripture and that's
I'm so sorry, bro.
But don't worry. No, I'm totally. I can bleep it out if I have to, but I usually just leave it alone.
And one thing that I can tell the brothers and sisters is, like, look, when you go to church, you're this person, but when you go home and you step on the Lego, don't tell me you don't say shit.
Everybody's real now and then, aren't they? Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But,
or they have to be.
So is that the message you want to share with people thinking about leaving Remnant? What would you say to people? I was going to ask you, what would you say to people who are thinking about joining Remnant? If by chance somebody comes on who's thinking about getting in the Way Down workshop or Remnant, what would you say to them?
I think it's done. I think that we should not only focus on the Remnant. I think that before they enter anything, whether it be Weight Watchers, whether it be your church, they need to see, they need to do the background check. They need to be so Okay, because church is about community, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they need to know that they're going to go there because they want to change, because they want to serve God. And a lot of people go into places and they want, okay, fix me. Okay, change me.
Right.
Okay, tell me what to do.
Right.
The people don't want to look inward. The people don't want to take the time or the energy to look in the mirror. They want somebody else to do it for them. And until the people look in the mirror and say, nobody's going to come and save me, nobody's going to come and rescue me, I have to do this. This is between God and me. And people are complacent and they're lazy. And that's why they get pushed in. And that's why they get sucked into the bullshit.
Right.
Because it's easier to be told what to do than to own up to your own whatever and fix it.
Mm-hmm. People like to be told what to do, don't they?
It's true.
And
because it's easy.
Mm-hmm. It's so, because you don't think. And that's exactly what cult mind control wants. It wants people who don't think. They don't question what they're told. I'm
trying to tell them in a way that they can understand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Without telling them mind control.
Right.
That's what it is. If you learn to control your own mind, you will not be manipulated. Not by your husband, not by your wife, not by your work. Exactly. You are in charge and in control of your thoughts. You are in control of your mind. You are in control of your actions, and you create your own reality.
Exactly.
And that's how it is.
Right. That's a good way to end that right there, because it's really the truth. You know, people really have to take responsibility for what they're doing and learn to do the research. Learn to think for themselves. Totally understandable.
Like if I'm gonna, send my kids to a summer school, I want the background. How many pedophiles live around that school? How many people have gotten fired because of this? Or what are they teaching my kids?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's great, man. I hope this recording came out. I'd be so mad if it didn't. But that's perfect, man. That is you stepped up to the plate. You hit a home run there, Mina. That's fantastic.
Oh, it's time.
It's great. I'm gonna look forward to this.
I already know that I'm a natural speaker. It's just time to speak.
Oh, I know you are. You're a preacher is what you are. Before the speaker.
Yeah,
you're a preacher.
I am.
You've got a calling on you. You know that. So, I appreciate you sharing. That's an incredibly insightful bit of sharing you want that's I think is really going to help a lot of people. So, listen, I know I've taken quite a bit of your time, but is there anything else you'd like to say? Like I said, in response to anything that you might have, a thought that you may have, something you may have wanted to refer back to from your interviews. I
do, and I want to quote the Bible on this.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ summed up the law with his last commandment, which is the first commandment, which is love. And true agape love will heal the hearts. Yep. True agape love will heal the children. True agape love will heal addiction. True agape love will heal the hearts of people who have been mind controlled. If they learn to love themselves the way God loves them, they will heal. Yeah. And that's the way they have to love their husbands and their children and the people that are going through trauma and addiction, anything, divorce. If you just, how would Jesus Christ handle this? Yeah. What would he say? How would he answer to this person that is getting all fucked up on drugs right now? Would he say, you're no good, you're never going to change? Or will you love that person where they're at in that time?
He would say, come to me, all you are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That's what he would say.
And that is just ego. If you're there judging somebody and putting them down, then you don't have love. That's bullshit.
I agree.
That's not love.
That's amen, sister. I can't agree with you more. I really do. Yeah. So
thanks for listening today as we explored just where are we going. Our prayer is that you have been encouraged and strengthened, and if necessary, challenged in your daily journey through life. Jesus is coming. You can fall with the night, or you can rise with the sun. The choice is yours. You can email us with questions and comments at feedback@spiritwatch.org. And if you need urgent personal spiritual help, email us at help@spiritwatch.org. We look forward to hearing from you. Please follow our podcasting at our Facebook page and our website at spiritwatch.org. This podcast is a production of Spirit Watch Ministries, taking heed that no man deceives you.